Hey guys, thank you so much for having me on. I'm super excited to get to talk to y'all again. I know that I met some of you when I was in Orlando. It could have already been last week. That's crazy. Um, we talked a little bit about IUL last week. We're going to change gears here and talk about kind of, in my mind, a unique and unsung product with Mutual of Omaha. So up front, I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Dylan Cummings. I am your Mutual of Omaha representative here. I am in Omaha, Nebraska, conveniently enough. So I am often traveling all around the country to, come see teams like yours, and I certainly do lots of webinars and virtual trainings just like this. But I am just super excited that there was some, I'd say some interest about the critical advantage product that we have that I think is unique to us. I don't think anybody else in your wheelhouse necessarily has anything that quite works the way that this critical illness product does. So if I can figure out how to share my screen better than I did the last time I was out there, give me two shakes. Let's see if I can't get this pulled up here. Why is it not showing? Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
I just gave you the approval, so you should be good to go.
I should be able to share. All right, perfect. So far, so good. Come back to me now. And then I'm going to change the display. All right. This should fill your screen with critical advantage portfolio. Can you confirm that that is the case, Joshua?
Looks good.
All right, great. All right. Let's get into it. So, if you haven't heard of this product before, that's my fault. I need to do a better job of promoting and talking about this product. Up front, this product is a health product. I think most of you are health licensed, but when I jump from team to team that's out there, I am running into a lot of teams that only focus on life and annuities, and they're not concerned about health at all, and they're not health licensed, and they are absolutely 100% leaving money on the table. I love this product because it is often an unexpected product that you can sell to folks. If you encounter a lead or a prospect that is completely covered in insurance, there's a really good chance that they don't have anything that quite fits the need that this product does. And we'll go over this product, but the need is absolutely on the tip of everyone's tongue already. Everybody understands the need for this product almost immediately. So I think it's a really cool product. The individuality inside of the fact that Mutual of Omaha is the only one that has this. I think that uh, you know when you learn more about Mutual of Omaha, like our real goal is that we can become, maybe like the grocery store of insurance products for your clients, right? Like you go to a client, you look on the shelf to see what they need, and you just take each product as they need it as things go on. So that's really kind of the goal and philosophy that we have with us as a company as we're developing and moving forward into the future. And I really like this product because, I do talk to a lot of agents like, yeah, he had life insurance, he had health insurance, he had everything he needed. This type of product, knowing about this product, having it in your back pocket gives you the ability to always have an option to pivot to so that you're never leaving a client sit without a sale. So let's get into it and kind of take a look at what this product is, how it works, some of the ins and outs of it. And then I think for the very last, I'd like to uh, go over the actual application itself to give you an idea of how the application flow looks and what you'll actually encounter when you're working with a client and going through everything. So this is the critical advantage portfolio. It is a lump sum critical illness or a cancer or a heart attack and stroke or a combined cancer, heart attack and stroke product. What that means is if you take out this policy and you become critically ill, if you have the critical illness coverage, if you have cancer, if you have the cancer coverage, or heart attack and stroke, if you have the heart attack and stroke coverage, Mutual of Omaha signs and writes a check and sends it to you with out any other strings attached, and that's your money to do with whatever you need to do with it. You don't have to be reimbursed for hospital stays or prove that you were treated this place or that place. This is just cash that you put in your bank account. You keep it. You can spend it on a taxi ride to the doctor's office. You can spend it on a cruise. If you have full major medical coverage and you have this policy and you're lucky enough that that major medical coverage covers every single nickel and dime you have for becoming critically ill, for being diagnosed and treated for cancer, for having a heart attack and stroke, that's great. I'm happy that your major medical coverage covers all of that, but this is not going to hurt you to have an extra 10, $25,000, $50,000, up to $100,000 in a check that Mutual of Omaha will submit, it will send to you once you become critically ill, have cancer, or a heart attack and stroke. So it's a lump sum. It's a one-time payment that we send to you if you ever make claim on this policy. The advantages of this that make it really easy for you, the producer, to think about. Number one, this is going to be in all your wheelhouses because it's a fast and easy sale. It's a really simple application. The questions are simple and straightforward. You don't need to be a doctor or a nurse practitioner to explain to the client what you're asking about. It really is a simple, easy application and application process. So this is all sort of designed inside the simplified issue space, the jet issue space, express issue. This is what we're kind of gearing these towards is, if not just a standalone product that you're selling to folks, but an add-on product to a simplified issue term or a, express issue IUL, something along those lines. Very competitive comp. There's not a lot of competition out there in the world for this type of product. Some people think of like Geico and stuff like that. I do think that's out there. I think Aetna might have a product out there that's kind of similar to this, but the compensation is really competitive on this product. It really kind of geared towards your one-on-one client sales when you're becoming a client's insurance agent. You're helping them with all their insurance needs. This is a very competitive compensation product that way. I do not know what your guys' individual compensation is necessarily. That's ultimately, up to your team and your marketing organization to determine. But just giving you peace of mind to know that like this is a well compensated product for how it stands out in the marketplace. There is an electronic application that you can access from our website if you go through our agent portal. It's among the different e-applications that you have access to among our iGo electronic application that you can use for our accidental death and life insurance plans. This is a slightly different platform, so there's a different link for it, but it's all kept on that same page in your portal. You can also technically, if you are doing face-to-face sales, you can use the paper application for this. If you like DocuSign and you're doing a telesale, but you're sending that application to the client for them to sign through DocuSign, that's also okay with us. We're fine with that as a process because the DocuSign is aces with us as far as that's concerned. It is not a instant decision necessarily on this product, but a key thing to keep in mind about this product is that and we'll go over all the nuts and bolts here, but generally the face amounts available are 1,000 to 100,000, and anything under 50,000, we're really just taking that application and considering that the long and short of all the underwriting we're going to do. We're not running MIB or pharmaceutical on anything under 50,000. We're really just taking the client's word for it and the answers given on that application for the under 50,000 folks. There's no policy fee on this, so that's great news for you as the agent. There's no extra that you're not going to get commissioned on. An interesting thing that's open to this one, I don't think it's the best payroll or list bill process in the world, but technically you can put this on a list bill format for employers that maybe want to buy this coverage for all their employees. It does quite. If you ever do encounter this type of a sale, please reach out to me because I would want to explain that process at length for how it works. It's not very automated. It still requires a little bit of manual effort on the employer. But I know you guys are out there talking to small business owners and talking to them about advantages that you can get them through insurance. And this is a nice little perk that's available if they wanted to give their employees something a little bit extra. Everybody gets $10,000 in this critical illness coverage. I know that can be a perk or something that's fairly inexpensive, easy way for that employee or that employer to give a little extra benefit to their best employees and keep that workforce happy. We talked about simplified underwriting. It's yes, no. Super simple application. If they answer no and can honestly answer no to all the health questions on the application, they're going to qualify. If they answer yes to any of those application questions, don't bother submitting it. They won't qualify because a yes answer is a decline as far as we're concerned. When I mentioned simplified issue underwriting, so it is either pass or fail. You're either approved at standard or you're declined. Those are really the only two options that are available on this product. Eligible for our producer bonus that we're paying out right now. So we make sure that you're keeping track of your Mutual of Omaha sales. So for any simplified issue IUL Express our final expense living promise, our simplified issue term life express, our guaranteed issue accidental death, and this product, they all contribute towards the quarterly producer bonus that we pay. So if you submit, or I should say issue and pay at least 25,000 among those products inside of a 3 month period, any quarter, we'll pay you a 10% bonus on top of anything that you earned inside of that quarter. So a 10% bonus, this does count towards that bonus for you. And you do have some multiple quoting options that are available on this. For me, the easiest way to quote this product is from our app. So I do hope all of you guys have our app already downloaded on your phone or your iPad. If you haven't, I would, go ahead and do it right now. Pull it out up on your phone. If you search for Mutual of Omaha in the Apple Play Store or in the Google Store, you're going to be able to find that app. It is not password protected. And not only can you quote this product, but you can quote, 7 or 8 other Mutual of Omaha products inside of that application. I like this application too because you don't necessarily have to be connected to a network. This is maybe not the selling feature that it was 7 or 8 years ago, but 7 or 8 years ago, I talked to a lot of agents that would be out in remote areas where they didn't necessarily have coverage on their cell phone. Maybe working with a client that doesn't have Wi-Fi and like trying to figure out a way that they can quote somebody. Once you've downloaded this onto your phone, that application it stores all the premium data inside of it. So you don't need to be connected to a network to operate that app. You can also quote this from our sales professional access, which is our agent portal. So there is a spot in there where you can basically quote all those same products that are in the app. You can do that from our website. So there you do have a few different ways that you can get at quoting premiums on this product. Advantages for the consumer. So this is the things that your customers are going to be most interested in and excited about. So as I mentioned before, it's a lump sum payment that's paid directly to the customer. It's not going to be taxed. It is a claim on a health insurance policy effectively. So it is just cash that they can put in their bank account and they can use for whatever they need. The idea behind it certainly is that when people do get cancer, when people do have a heart attack or stroke, they might have health insurance, but it doesn't necessarily cover every single thing that you need inside of that, right? Like I have, health insurance protection. I certainly end up paying out of pocket for a lot of things, and I'm a fairly healthy dude, right? Like so, having this, if I were ever to have a heart attack, I think I did tell a little story when I was in Orlando. Like, my dad did have a heart attack in his 50s. I'm, less than 10 years away from my 50s. So it's something that I certainly think about. It's something that's on my mind, and I certainly remember the situation that my dad went through, and how much easier or how much peace of mind my mom might have had he had an extra, 10, 15 grand that just came to them in his pocket in addition to all the other stuff that they're paying through the medical bills. He was lucky enough to have, some pretty robust coverage through his employer. So they were not financially destitute or anything like that, but it just is it's a peace of mind thing. But as I mentioned before, if you've got, small business owners or people that are in, less corporate gigs, this can be a really big deal to them because a lot of that ACA coverage out there, it leaves a lot of gaps, it leaves a lot of holes. It's not necessarily as comprehensive as things have been in years past. For the cancer coverage, there's just 3 questions that are associated with getting them approved for that cancer coverage. So super, super simple and easy. As long as they can answer no to all 3 of those questions, they can get that standalone cancer critical advantage plan. There is built-in return of premium for the critical illness version of this. So that's a really neat feature. It's not necessarily return of premium in the sense that you would imagine on like a term or anything like that. What happens is if the client has this policy, they've and they pass away without ever making claim on any of that lump sum that was available to them throughout that policy life, they'll actually get all their beneficiary will get all the premiums that they paid in the policy at that point. So there's no way your client can lose on that critical illness. Even if they never use this coverage and they pay on it for 30 years, that beneficiary is still going to get all the premiums paid in that policy if they once they pass away, provided they have not made claim on the policy. Fills in a lot of the gaps from other health coverage, and I've certainly gone through that point pretty well. It's guaranteed renewable for life or for the term. So you've got some options. You can set this up like a term policy. It's a little bit less expensive on the term. So if folks are price adverse to it, or they're like, hey, once I turn 65, I'm going to be on Medicare and I'm never going to need any sort of coverage like this. You can design this policy to be a 10, 20, or 30-year term for that client. Individual and family coverage is available, so you can divide this up through a few different ways. You can do just do it on the breadwinner, just do it on mom and dad, just do it on a single parent and their children, or you can do the entire family under the umbrella of a single policy. We do not reduce benefits at any age. So you'll see how far the ages are available for issue on this. And these policies, if you do the lifetime policy, they can't outlive this policy. As long as they keep those premiums current, that policy is going to be enforced for whenever they need it. Rates are based on current age, so keep that in mind when you're quoting an entire family. And the app will help you out with this by being able to put in those ages, but it's going to be based kind of on like the eldest person on that policy's age. And then there is a child conversion option, which is kind of a nice feature. We don't see it a whole heck of a lot, but it's there, so it's worth talking about. If your clients do have children on this, and after maybe they are diagnosed with some sort of condition or issue in between being issued this policy and to the time when they're becoming an adult, you can actually convert this policy into an adult policy for them without evidence of insurability, which is kind of cool, right? So generally, you're only going to use that in the event that they have had a change in their health history since that policy was first implemented. But it's a nice feature. You know that those kids might have something like this in their back pocket should they acquire anything in the in between time from getting this policy taken out and becoming an adult. So let's talk a little bit about the policy itself. So a few slides ago, you saw that there were three different coverages that are available to this, and kind of like the menu on Taco Bell, you can blend these a little bit so that you can slice and dice and make it work however your client needs or whatever they want or however it's going to go down. So the critical illness benefit is really the Cadillac of the availability options on this product. So it covers not only cancer and heart attack and stroke, but 15 total conditions for critical illness. So if your client is ever diagnosed among those 15 critical illnesses listed in the app in the policy, they have the ability to get through a benefit of 10,000 to 100,000. So issue ages on this one are 18 through 64 for the lifetime coverage, or if you want to go on the shorter term duration, 18 to 54 is the maximum age for the critical illness. So if they want the Cadillac, essentially they do need to be 64 years young or younger. Basic benefits that are automatically available into this one, obviously the lump sum benefit amount that they get to choose from 10 to 100,000. We sort of discussed this a little bit before, but return of premium benefit upon death. So if they pass away, they've never made claim on this, that beneficiary is going to get every premium that they paid into the policy at that point. And again, no reduction of benefits at any age. So don't care if they're 70 or 80 years old, keep paying in this policy. We're fine with that. They're still going to get that same lump sum benefit that they counted on when they first took out the policy. Coverage options that are available to them, lifetime coverage, which is just that, lasts as long as they do. As long as they keep those premiums current, we're fine with that. That coverage is going to remain intact. Or they can do that term coverage there, which is 10, 15, or 20, or 10, 15, 20, or 30 years that are available to them. So these are the critical illness covered conditions. So we've got, obviously internal cancer, melanoma, doesn't cover for the other skin cancer that I do hear and kind of see about a lot that basal or something around along those lines. I'm not a doctor, so I apologize. I get it mixed up with Italian food sometimes. So that one's not covered. But these are really your major conditions that you would expect to see. So heart attack, stroke, Alzheimer's, blindness, paralysis, deafness, kidney failure, major organ failure, major organ transplant. Those are the types of things that are going to be covered under the critical illness conditions. A few caveats there. Covered at 25% of that benefit. So if I had a $100,000 policy, your client would be covered for up to 25,000 on a coronary artery bypass surgery or coronary angioplasty surgery. I'm sorry. So those two separate out there are covered at 25%. But any of those other conditions listed under there are 100%. This is kind of cool too. It's got an optional rider available on that we call it cash value. We'll talk a little bit more about this in a later slide, but this is actually kind of like a true return of premium that you're used to in, say, like a express issue term. This is a return of premium that's available to your client where it builds on a curve. So your client could, does build a cash value that by the time I think it's 25 years, once they're 25 years in that policy, that cash value will equal all the premiums that they paid into that point. So if your client decides that they don't want that coverage after 25 years, they just want to cash it in and take that money out of that policy at that point, they can do so if they added this optional rider for cash value. So kind of cool. A little bit confusing because there's also that return of premium upon death, but that's different and automatically baked in. This is an elective rider they can add on if they want the option to, while they're still alive, pull that money out of the policy and let it go. So that first one, that's the critical illness. Again, that's the Cadillac. That's the one that covers all the conditions under the critical illness umbrella. And then we have two other separate offers that are standalone. You can do, I just want coverage for cancer specifically, or I just want coverage for heart attack and stroke specifically. Or you can also combine these two as a cancer and heart attacks and stroke policy altogether without necessarily combining all the other elements that are included in that critical illness Cadillac construction, right? So the cancer and heart attack and stroke benefits, this is what I think is a really good thing to point out and write down. Issue ages on the lifetime coverage for one or both of these together is 18 through age 89 for the lifetime coverage. So for if you're wanting to do a term, the shorter coverage duration, that's fine. That's up through 54, just like the critical illness. But issuing a product through age 89, there's not a lot of stuff out there that you have the opportunity to sell to folks that are over 75 years old, and this is a really cool one. I really like that older issue age is available because for me, this can be a way to give clients that you're selling maybe a final expense policy to, or just anyone that's older altogether, and say, hey, living benefits are great on all these life insurance policies you have, but sometimes it's nice to also have a sure thing in your back pocket. And there's no better way to do that than have some sort of lump sum critical illness policy taken out for you. So it's a good way to, in my mind, to offer a really robust living benefit to somebody who has a final expense policy, or maybe even somebody's just taking out an IUL later in life and has a permanent life insurance need for that. But this is a really good way to maybe even make it so that they don't have to worry about cashing in a life insurance policy. Maybe they're like, oh well, I'll always have the cash value of my life insurance if I need to get out while I'm still alive. This is a good way to help keep that life insurance policy intact. Same idea with plan design options here, individual, single parent, and family. Benefit amounts are the same, 10,000 all the way up to 100,000. Basic benefits, obviously the lump sum benefit amount, that's what this is all about, and no reduction of benefits at any age for these products. So a little bit different than the critical illness, doesn't have the return of premium on death the way that the critical illness does. So keep that in mind. That's maybe the biggest difference between these two standalone and the Cadillac Granddaddy critical illness coverage. Same coverage options, lifetime coverage, and 10, 15, 20, and 30-year terms available through age 54. So what are we talking about when we're talking about cancer? Well, that's any internal cancer or malignant melanoma. That's going to be what the definition for cancer is on this. Heart attack, cash value, intensive care. Oh, I'm sorry, the cash value rider is available on these for an extra cost. So if they do want to do that, oh no, I meant so yeah, keep that in mind that the return of premium at death, even I get mixed up on this, I apologize. The return of premium at death only available on the critical illness, but they do have the ability to add return of premium cash value on this product as an extra add-on rider if they want to. And then you'll also see there that there's cancer and heart attack. So I apologize. I need to get rid of that intensive care unit there. That was a rider that we had up until the beginning of the year. And because we're working it out with a couple of different states, we had to pull that for now. So we might actually reintroduce that rider, but it's not currently being solicited. So I'm sorry about that. I don't have the intensive care unit rider available on these products right now. But you can, if you sign up for a cancer policy, you can add that heart attack and stroke coverage onto that cancer policy, or vice versa. If you have a heart attack and stroke policy, you can add that cancer policy on as a rider. It's the same no matter which way you cross that Taco Bell menu taco with the gordita, with whatever it is, it's all the same. Premium's going to be the same. There's no right way to do it. It's just however you decide to chop it up inside the application. For heart attack and stroke, 100% of that lump sum benefit is covered for heart attack and stroke conditions. And then at 25%, this is, we touched on this before, for a coronary artery bypass surgery or for that angioplasty surgery, only going to be covered for 25% in comparison to the 100% coverage. Here's what the cash value rider looks like if you decide to add that to your coverage. So this is that return of premium that would be available to those clients. So I mean, I think this is pretty compelling because even after 17 years in that policy, if that client decides, hey, I can't afford this, this just isn't reasonable, I don't need this anymore, they can still get 50% of their premiums back in year 17 if they decide to cut and run from that policy. But it is designed to be a 100% cash value return of premium by year 25 inside that policy. So kind of a neat feature. We do see a lot of the folks that are selling this add this rider because it is a fairly inexpensive way to add a nice feature that people always like the idea. Like everybody's worried about not getting something out of a policy. And this is a good way to ensure that no matter what happens with it, they can always get something back out of that policy if they need to. State availability currently not being solicited in Montana or New Mexico. So keep that in mind. Virtually every other state, it's available for you. Some folks do ask about Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, and it is not available in either of those regions. So really just the contiguous 48 and Alaska and Hawaii, it is available, but that New Mexico and Montana, we are not soliciting inside of those states. So this is a quick little look at well, a paper piece or a PDF that you can go out and download. But I do just like to mention to folks about just start the conversation with this product. When we talk to agents that have success at selling this product, it's not rocket science what they're doing to get these products added on to add an additional 25, 50, $100 onto a sale when they've already sold somebody life insurance or accidental death insurance or Medicare supplement or health insurance, whatever the case may be. I talk to folks all the time or especially when we first rolled out this product, where at the end of a life insurance sale or whatever the sale may be, especially if you've discussed living benefits with the client, they'll be like, "Oh, hey, before I leave you, just wanted to make sure whatever you do, don't cancel your cancer plan or don't cancel your heart attack and stroke coverage. You'll still want to keep that." And 100 times out of 100, maybe 99 out of 100, folks are going to say, "What are you talking about? I don't have a cancer plan." And in my mind, cancer is one of those things that everybody immediately understands the value of having this cancer coverage. 1 in 3 men and women are going to be diagnosed with an internal cancer before they pass away, right? So I mean that's like honestly a 33% chance of taking out this coverage is going to lead to a claim on the cancer part of it. So that is a very compelling story for me, that it is just such a high probability out there that I think most folks already understand, which makes this sale just that much easier and a really good way for folks to get a hang of the concept. Is, of course, you know somebody who's had cancer. Of course, you personally know somebody that's probably had a heart attack or stroke, right? And you're probably close to that person and wish that there was more that you could help them with. So, think of what that person could have done if they had an extra $25,000 in their pocket. And maybe a spouse could have taken off more work to help take care of them if they were at home and trying to figure stuff out. So very compelling. This piece is available to you from our sales portal. So if you go into the marketing materials at mutualofomaha.com/broker, not only this, but the product underwriting guide, all that information is available to you. I think I mentioned this website too. So that obviously this website with the /broker, that's password protected. That's going to be where you set stuff up and you've got a username and log in to get in there. If you go to mutualofomaha.com/simple, SIMPLE, a lot of that same information for this critical advantage product is going to be available to you on there, and it's not password protected. So that simple website in my mind is a great way to, I think maybe 85% of the questions that you have geared towards Mutual of Omaha, you can probably find the answer on that simple website without a password. So that's a really good one to bookmark, mutualofomaha.com/simple. This is the other thing. There are some state specials that are out there, so just be cognizant of that when you're talking to folks and quoting this. The good news is that like the quote tool is never going to let you quote a writer in a state where that writer is not available, right? So you'll know based on what but if you do, come up and like, hey, Dylan, I can't quote this term policy in Connecticut. Well, it's because term's not available in Connecticut, right? So this state special matrix is out there. It's available to you on our website and on that simple website as well. However, like I said, in my mind, the easiest way to find that information out is just run the quote. If the writer doesn't appear and auto populate in your selection choices, then you know that it's not available inside of that state. So just keep that in mind. There's quite a bit of variance in a bigger swath of states than I think some other of the products that we have. So not necessarily the most straightforward part of anything. That's kind of the end of the slideshow. I think that gives you, again, like it's a simple product. There's not a whole lot to it. You get cancer, you have a cancer plan. Guess what? You get a check. It keeps everything pretty simple. Um, I think I saw that maybe a question popped up in the chat. Am I crazy? Do I need to go? So somebody asked, so can they do this standalone? And so I might, yes, you can do any of those policies standalone that you want. You can do just the critical illness, which again is the Cadillac. So critical illness does cover cancer, heart attack, and stroke, as well as Alzheimer's and blindness and paralysis and 10 other things in addition to that. So that is the big robust coverage is that critical illness coverage. And then if folks want to, they can do just standalone cancer or standalone heart attack and stroke, or they can combine cancer and heart attack and stroke into one coverage as well. So just keep that in mind that the cancer and the heart attack and stroke, when you separate those out from the critical illness, those are the ones that you can issue all the way out to age 89, which is pretty impressive. So I wanted to real quick, let's just go over the application because I think understanding the flow of the application really helps you understand, what the product is, what it does. And also just, braces you for any surprises that you might have when you first go through this application. So this is what it looks like. This is our paper application, but it is remarkably similar to what you're going to encounter inside of the electronic application as well. The electronic application is not all that different from, no, hang on, I lost the app. But it's not all that different from what this is. The flow is going to be pretty much exactly the same. It's going to ask the questions in the same order, et cetera, et cetera. So you're going to encounter this. So the first thing you're going to choose is what type of coverage does the client want. So you've got the individual, single parent plus children, or the entire family. If they want to go with the guaranteed for a lifetime, that's the first checkbox, or 10, 15, 20, and 30 years that are available to you. And then you only select one here, number 3. So you can do standalone lump sum cancer, standalone heart attack and stroke, or the more robust critical illness one. So if you want to do the lump sum cancer instead, but you also want to add heart attack and stroke, you can do that. So you can go, I want the lump sum in number 3, and then number 5 for an optional rider, I want to add the heart attack and stroke. That's fine. If you want to break it the other way, and here I want to do the lump sum heart attack and stroke in the primary product and add the cancer over here, that's fine. You can do that too. So it doesn't matter which direction you do those, it's going to be the same premium no matter what. So don't worry about that. If the client wants both, it doesn't matter which mode of operations you select in going through that. You'll select the base sum amount, so anywhere from 10 to 100,000. And then if you have a partner in here, you add that information here. Here's the all the height and weight information for the proposed insured. You include that information for the partner as well. And then you can list any of the dependent children that you wanted to include if you decided to do the family as well. There's only 4 spots on the paper app. I believe the electronic application allows you to do up to 8. So if you have more than 8 dependents, then you would actually you'll probably have to add any additional after the 8 after that policy's been issued, or complete a note, and there's a place to put comments section. You can also add them there if you need to. From there, other coverage, don't really encounter many replacements or folks that have other coverage through other carriers necessarily, but if they do, we do need to know about those. We're required and obligated to keep track of those, so make sure that you list that information there. And then I should have pointed this out when we came back here. It tells you which sections in the application to complete based on which of these selections that you complete in 3, 4, and 5, right? So if I want to do a lump sum cancer and just the lump sum cancer, I know that I need to complete sections 1 and 2 in the underwriting section, right? If I add that cancer there, that adds that I need to also complete section 2. So this is just telling you that there are four separate underwriting sections. Everybody needs to complete section 1, and you'll see why when we look at it. It's the only combined question between all the separate different coverages that you can add together. So for lump sum cancer, that's specific to 1 and 2. Heart attack and stroke, that adds in number 3, and then the critical illness is number 4. So when we look at the very first question, this is the HIV question. So everybody has to be able to answer number 1, no. So if your client does have HIV, unfortunately, they're not going to be able to qualify for this product. That's kind of the only absolute no that you're going to receive based on any cancer, heart attack, and stroke, or the critical illness altogether. So this is the number 1 question across all of them, where everybody does have to be able to answer no, number 1. So if your client is interested in the cancer coverage or the critical illness, then they need to complete section 2. So we're asking, has the client in the past 10 years, so that's our look back on this one, is a 10-year look back, have they been diagnosed or treated or consulted for any internal cancer, malignant tumor, lymphoma, leukemia, or melanoma? So the idea is, have you had cancer in the last 10 years effectively, is what we're after there. If the answer is no, you have a good chance that that they're going to be able to qualify. If the answer is yes, then they won't be able to qualify for cancer coverage. Potentially, they could still qualify for the heart attack and stroke if they can answer no to those questions in the next section. Second question for the cancer is, in the past 3 years, have you been advised by a medical professional to undergo treatment, testing, or had tests performed where results are pending, not received, abnormal, or inconclusive, where a medical professional has not ruled out cancer? So I mean, so that's the thing. Like, if your client's nervous that they might have cancer and they went to the doctor and they got a test and they don't know what the results are, technically they still need to answer this question yes, right? So this is before anybody's gotten nervous and gone to a doctor. None of these different statements inside question 2 of section 2 can be yes and still qualify for the coverage. So keep that in mind. This is specific to the cancer. They can still qualify for heart attack and stroke if they answer yes to any of these, but it does prevent them from qualifying for the cancer or for the critical illness. Section 3, you're going to see kind of a theme here. In the past 10 years, have you been diagnosed or treated or advised or been prescribed medication, hospitalized, or consulted with a medical professional for any disorder or abnormality of the heart or blood vessels, excluding high blood pressure or cholesterol, which is considered controlled by a medical professional? So we're okay with a little bit of high blood pressure if they are controlling it and not necessarily upping their medication month after month to try and get things under control. We're fine with that. Cholesterol is the same way. We're pretty comfortable with folks that are on statins and keeping their blood pressure controlled that way. Not that big a deal. But if they've been hospitalized recently, um, anything along those lines where that blood pressure seems like it's not within the realms of control and they're still trying to get their arms around it, that's where they're going to have to answer yes, and they're not going to be able to qualify for the heart attack and stroke. And then the second question, in the last 3 years, same idea. Have they talked to a medical professional that hasn't been able to rule out heart attack and stroke or heart issues? Or do they have an inconclusive test or a test where they have not yet seen the results for? So that's same idea here. They can't go to the doctor and not yet have their test results. That still is a pending review that doesn't necessarily give them a good outlook or clear their health history. So that's going to prevent them from being able to qualify. Again, so for through section 2 and section 3, if your client has been able to answer all those questions no, that they'd be able to qualify for cancer, heart attack, and stroke. You'd also have a pretty good idea that they can qualify for the critical illness, provided that they can answer no to every question in section 4 here for critical illness. So same idea here. We're basically just pointing out the same conditions that would be covered under critical illness and saying that you cannot have already had these conditions inside of it in order to qualify for the product. So in the past 10 years, again, same 10-year look back as with the cancer and heart attack and stroke. Has your client been diagnosed, treated for, prescribed medication, or consulted a medical professional for kidney function, Alzheimer's, chronic liver disease, eye or ear disorder, Parkinson's, seizures, muscular dystrophy, organ transplant, pulmonary fibrosis, severe chronic lung disease, or hopefully they're just going to check none of these. Section 2, same idea. In the past 3 years, has any proposed insured been advised by a medical professional to undergo treatment that's abnormal, inconclusive for any of these conditions? Same idea, right? Like they can't have gone to the doctor and not heard the results just yet and try and get the coverage. That's not quite the spirit of what insurance is. And that's the application. That's it, right? Like super, super simple questions. I think we talked about in the presentation, like for cancer coverage, if you go back here, it is just answer one question in section one and two questions in section two. That's three questions to get cancer coverage. Anyways, do you have HIV? Have you ever had cancer? Do you have any reason to suspect that you do have cancer? Right? Like those are effectively the three questions that client's going to be able to need to say no to and honestly say no to in order to gain coverage. So really, really simple. Again, worth mentioning if it's a below $50,000 face amount, we're not even doing much underwriting beyond that application. That application is the underwriting. We're not checking MIB. We're not checking pharmaceutical. Um, that's going to be reserved for anything above 50,000 of those bigger face amounts that are available for it. Uh, Worth mentioning I think I glossed over this as well. Question three on the heart attack and stroke does ask about diabetes. So we're okay with controlled diabetes diagnosed after age 30, provided that A1C has not been greater than 7 within the last 12 months, or with tobacco use, except for gestational diabetes. So again, we're okay with type 2, provided it's under control, diagnosed after age 30, which is a little bit different than what you might see on some of our life insurance products. So that is going to be specific to the heart attack and stroke and the critical illness coverage. We're not asking that diabetes question inside of the cancer coverage. So that's it. If your client's been able to answer no to all the pertaining questions that you had when you went through that, the issuing of this policy is pretty dang quick. So if you're doing under 50,000, it should be issued within 24 to 48 hours of your submission. If you're doing over 50,000, you're probably looking at 2 to 3 business days for an underwriter to review the MIB and pharmaceutical. If they do see stuff on pharmaceutical, this is a product where potentially they could give your give your client a call to do hey, there's a dual use medication here. Hey, there's a doc, it's just ibuprofen, but it looks like it's a cancer specialist that's prescribing this to you. Can you tell us why you're seeing a cancer specialist? Something on those lines, you might actually see an underwriter reach out to the client for, but by and large, I think that 90% of these applications just sail through. So 9 out of 10 times, it should not be an issue, provided that your client was candid and upfront with you about all of their health history. Here's the comments and special instructions section on the producer statement. If you wanted to add any color or additional information into the policy or clarifications, you can do that there. But other than that, yeah, like I said, it's a pretty easy application. The electronic application is almost identical to this. It's almost just like a fillable PDF in an electronic format, except the e-signatures are all tied up with Mutual of Omaha and sent to us that way. Pretty simple, straightforward, and yeah, honestly, the success that we've seen out of this product is people are really starting to hone in on it. We've seen a lot of the med sup sales folks that are focused on that really see the value in it and be able to fill in some of the gaps that Medicare has, even a med sup or a Medicare Advantage plan. Because I think a lot of people do get surprised on Medicare Advantage plans when they actually need to use that coverage to see what it actually costs. But yeah, great little product. I think affordable. Regardless of how old that client is or how much coverage they have, if you go and I encourage everybody to go out on that app and run a few quotes and see what a 75-year-old for 15,000 is. Generally it's not going to be that much more than what they might be paying for a $10,000 final expense policy. And if you consider how often people have cancer, how often people have heart attacks and strokes, it's pretty compelling to say, this is coverage that you might need to have just as badly as you need to have that final expense. Because if you did have a cancer, or if you did have heart attack and stroke, and you didn't have the cushion to take care of yourself or others that depended on you in that situation, this definitely can come in handy to make sure that people are covered for all those things. So I'm not quite on the hour. But I can certainly open it up. Are there any other questions? I haven't checked the chat here or anything along those lines. Anything else that you guys have? Anything, comments, criticisms? I'm open to it all. Let me know.
Mhm.
I have a
Oh,
question.
Please.
Hey, everybody. Okay, so now I'm being picky for the Alzheimer's. that is cognitive impairment. So if someone were to make a claim, let's say the doctor said it was dementia, but not Alzheimer's, is that an issue? Because apparently there's a difference.
Um, I have not. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure. In my
Okay.
mind, I think that they would consider it basically. So you're saying for making a claim on the policy, they're like, oh, we think this person's been diagnosed with dementia but not Alzheimer's.
Yes.
That's a great question. I'm not sure. Let me take that as homework, and I will let you know. My,
Okay.
my guess is that dementia would also be covered under the critical illness the same way that Alzheimer's has, but I I,
Right.
I don't want to tell you something wrong and have you tell a client the wrong thing. So 100%, let me follow up with you guys on that and make sure that I'm understanding that correctly.
Thank you.
I also
I
have a quick
don't have a
question.
question, but go ahead.
Oh, I was just noticing, I think this was covered at the boot camp as well, but I didn't hear anything about family history questions. This is just for the client, has nothing to do with the family history of cancer, things like
We
that,
don't
right?
answer anything. You're hitting on a point that I probably should have made and elucidated on. We're not asking family history questions. So if you have folks that have a family history where they're compelled to be have coverage like this, 100% get them this coverage.
Right.
They know the need
Okay.
better than anyone.
Yeah. And one more thing, you mentioned something about employers getting this for their employees. Is this something that can be an employee benefit as far as an employee sponsored program to where the employees can pay for it? Or is it just strictly through the employer to pay for it?
I mean, so we have what I will call sort of an antiquated list bill system, which means that the employer can, if they gather premiums from all the clients, that's fine. Or if they decide that they want to make it a perk and that they're going to pay the premiums, that's fine too. It's up to the employer and the employee to decide how they want to cover that. But we will tie it all together and allow them to submit a single payment to cover all those different policies, if that makes sense. So we'll
So
we'll
you can
build
have
them
multiple
in
policies for one
aggregate.
payment?
Right, right.
Okay.
Now it's like I said, if you do encounter the situation, reach out to me because I think other folks that have list bill in the world have a slicker process than we do. It's a little bit more manual. To give you an example, like if say they were paying an employee benefit and that employee quits,
Mm-hmm.
it is literally up to the employer to cross off the amount on the billed statement and say, this person's not here anymore. Here's the new amount that I'm paying and submit the check. So it's literally a manual. They're writing it and somebody at Mutual of Omaha reads it and it's like, oh, okay, I'll remove that person from the coverage and adjust the premium on the list bill.
Now, can that employee take over the coverage on their own?
Um, I think that we could probably work something out for them. Yeah. It's if they
Okay.
want to continue to make premium payments on that and take it off the list bill, we could.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was going to say I don't have a question, but I will say thank you for everything tonight. I know you mentioned in the email that you were going to touch on Winflex. So do you think you have a few minutes to kind of show?
So I'm gonna save that for another time. It's a
Okay,
whole different animal. I had forgotten that you wanted to do the critical illness. I was like, let's just one bite at a time.
right.
I am booked solid next week. I'm out of the office traveling the whole week next week, but I'll try and the next 2 weeks really. But
Okay,
if you want to do a Winflex training, I have two other folks. I've got an internal and another sales director that I work very closely with. That we can work something out within the next couple of weeks. Get another mutual of Omaha
okay.
training for you guys. So I just in watching some of the trainings you guys had with other carriers last week, I was like, oh, like I think this group really would positively respond to a Winflex training with the mutual of Omaha IUL. So I would love to get that set up with you guys.
Absolutely, because when writing the IULE, it's pretty much quoting software and then application. I've used Winflex a couple of times, but then I've heard experiences from other agents that it was a bit complicated, and I know you guys better than anybody will be able to simplify, how to use the software properly. So yeah, I'll definitely welcome a training on Winflex.
100%. We can get that set up.
All right. Well, I will say thank you so much for the information because you gave us a little bit more of a deep dive into the critical illness, critical advantage portfolio today. So I really, really appreciate it. I got a lot of notes here. I know Janice, I saw her head down. She was writing as well. I hope everybody else, got the gist of, what Dylan laid down for us tonight. And it's really, really just going to help you advance the opportunities that you have when you're on the phone or you're out in the field talking to people. Because, like you said, everybody needs something like this if they don't already have it. There's not too many companies that offer these benefits standalone. So, like Dylan stated, just start the conversation. You never know who will need what you have. So, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. If anybody else has any questions before Dylan jumps off, the floor is open. All
Thank
right.
you. That's it.
I think you did a good job. You covered all
Mhm.
bases. So again, thanks, Dylan, and I hope you have a great evening. I look forward to having you again, or you or Heather or whoever we can get for the next training. But I really
Perfect.
appreciate everything you guys do.
Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it. If you guys have any questions that come up after the fact, hit me up. I'm here for you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
All right. Thanks
Thank
Alrighty.
you.
all.
Have a good one. Have a good night.
Bye.
Thank you, Dylan.